The top 6 growth ETFs for retirement accounts. We're not chasing yields here today. We're going to give you funds that will grow your retirement accounts in working within our 3-bucket system. Now, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Doug the Retirement Guy, and today we're going to cover the top 6 growth ETFs for retirement accounts. If you're familiar with our strategy of our 3-bucket strategy, foundation, growth, and income, these are the funds that will go into a growth bucket. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, a lot of you will look at it and say, oh, these are horrible because there's no yield. Very, very little yield. And that's not what we're looking for. We're not trying to chase yield. We're not looking for a yield trap. What we're looking for is pure, hardcore growth. And we use it inside of our system of our portfolio, which has income but needs growth to protect it. So this is where we're going to break it down. We're going to give you a list of 6 different funds. This may be one you pick 2 out of the 6, maybe it's 3 out of the 6, and we'll give you an analysis at the end of how to use it in a portfolio. Let's get into today's video. Now, before we go any deeper, I got to just give you guys a pre-warning that this video is really for educational. I am not a financial advisor, so past performances don't guarantee any future results, and this is for educational. If you need financial assistance, always contact a financial advisor or professional. So when used properly, the retirement accounts, you're putting your money to work. And you're telling your money when it comes to you of exactly where do you want it to go, what do you want it to do, and what its job is. That's why I always say, think of your money as your employees. You're putting your money to work. These funds are in your growth bucket. It's your center bucket of the package. They are not totally for income. They are for growth funds. Okay, so you're going to take all this money, you're going to put it into the growth. And later on, I'll show you where and how that growth fund, once it gets full, what happens and what do you do with it. But let's get into a little farther into this. Why total return and tax efficiency is what matters, not yields. Okay, total return is greater than the yield. So if you're chasing high yield with a poor growth, that erodes your principal. So a 6% yield with a 2% total return means you're losing 4% of your capital. It's shrinking on you. Okay, you're not getting your full yield. And this is what a lot of people get caught in traps with. And I see this a lot with those monthly or weekly dividend paying funds, is that you get that NAV erosion going. So if you had a fund, and I'll give you an example, if you had a fund that was generating 12% yield, and most of you think, oh my God, this is great, I'm getting 12%. When you get down to it and you found out your total return was only 2% because the fund is losing money, you're really only getting a 2% return off of your money. And I hate to tell you this, but you can probably put it in the bank and get more money than that. Qualified dividends is another big advantage. When you're being taxed at 0 or 15 or 20% capital gains versus ordinary income, which is up to 37%, there's a massive difference by the taxable accounts and how you put this into play. So the strategic balance is combine a growth core like a VOO with dividend anchors to capture the upside while generating income. This is why we're focusing on the growth package today. So mixed of quality quarterly and quality monthly payers to align your cash flow with your lifestyle needs. So there's a big difference if you're looking at top brackets, 37% to the top bracket of long-term capital gains at 20%. That's a 17% difference in the money that you're taking home. So today I'm going to give you a lineup. I'm giving you right up front. We're not going to hold anything back. We're going to give you 6 that are very tax smart dividend ETFs that work excellent in the growth package of a 3-bucket system and that will work and grow your funds. The first one, VOO, and this is the S&P 500 Core Growth Program. Expense ratio, almost literally nothing, 0.03%. It has a yield which is 1.11%. Again, nothing spectacular because we're not looking for income here. We're looking for growth. Qualified dividends, about 97%. Payouts quarterly, holds 504 different funds. It's heavily into the tech side with 34%. Total return, 14.70%. Our next one, you probably heard of this one, SCHD. It's the high quality dividend of 100 different funds. Another one, 0.06%. Now this one has a little bit bigger yield at 3.34%. 100% qualified dividends, quarterly payouts, 102 different holdings. It's a good, strong emergent energy side of it, 13.35%. Next one, DGRW, the quality income growth. Expense ratio, right in line, 0.28%, 1.39% for the yield. Pays out monthly, 200 holdings, again, 26% tech, 11.31% total return. So you can see everything we're talking about has double-digit returns across the board. DIA, the Dow 30 Blue Chip, we've talked about this one on this channel many a times, 1.38% yield, 0.16 expense ratio, pays out monthly. It's into the financial sector, 28%, 11.32% total return. DGRO, the core dividend growth, 0.08%, 1.96% yield, 396 holdings. Again, this is a financial one play at 20%, 15.24%. And VYM, the high dividend yield, 0.06%. You understand how all the ones that we've picked out have very, very low expense ratios because we want most of our money, if not all of our money, working for us to grow. 2.25% yield. Paying it out quarterly, again, it's in the financial category with the big total return at 16.10%. Now we're going to break down each one of these a little more detailed for you, and we'll start off with VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500. Now this is a core growth engine, and it's a very tax efficient anchor. When we take a look at it, we said earlier the expense ratio almost free at 0.03%. So that means that's $3 out of every $10,000 is going to expenses. Everything else is going to work for you. Dividend yield 1.11%. This thing has over $850 billion. Its prime holdings is going to be Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. So it's really 34% of its market and sector is in technology. But here's what happens. Look at the return on this. 1 year, we're at 14.41% total return. So this means any of your dividends are rolled back into it. It's just taking your money and you're gaining 14% onto it. 5 years, you have a 13.29% average. 10 years, 15.81%. And since inception, 14.54%. So you're also going to find that most of these have 10 years of double-digit growth in the funds. SCHD. Now, SCHD is that dividend anchor and quality growth engine. You'll probably see a lot of people talk about SCHD for using it in retirement. And here's why. Very low expense ratio. You do have a nice dividend of 3.34%. It's not, you'd have to have a ton of money to live off of 3.34%. But its dividend has had a steady growth of about 10% per year. But look at the numbers. These are what will rock your world. 13.28% since inception. 10 years, 13.65% average growth. 11.07% over 5 years. And this past year, it's been rocking at 18.96. Year to date, that is what? A year or 1 month and 13 days. So I'll say 45 days total. 15.39%. And over the past month, 11.05. The Charles Schwab U.S. dividend equity did some adjustments back in March. They made their adjustments. Everyone thought it was over with. It was done. Put a fork in it. These guys knew what they were doing, and they continue to prove that they know what to do over time, over and over and over. And now their changes that they made, changing their sectors, and they're skyrocketing and making up for it. Our next fund, the Wisdom Tree Quality Dividend Growth. DGRW. The yield, 1.39%. Again, we're not looking all at yield. 6.8% 10-year dividend growth. So they're slowly growing it. And this is the one I like the most. It's a monthly income with a focus on profitability and reduced volatility. The worst year over the past 10 years, it was only down 6%. Compared to the S&P 500, which is down 18% in 2022, this one here has and knows how to keep the volatility in check and how to keep your money growing. Since inception, 13.03%. And the lines, look at these lines, are almost like just drawn straight out. 10-year mark, 14.95, but then 5 years at 13.02 and 1 year, 13.09 total returns. This is just a solid growth play. The year to date, 3.77, and the past month, 1.54. So this is another one of those strong funds that knows what they're doing and why we're using it. Now, DIA, the Spider Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is what we call our blue chip anchor. It tracks the 30 of the largest, most established U.S. companies. Its monthly dividend makes it ideal for investors needing predictable cash flow to cover living expenses. Now, of course, I'm not saying you're going to live off of this. And remember, we're in our 3-bucket system. 1.38% dividend yield, 5.6% over the 10-year dividend growth. Now, the big ones, Goldman Sachs, Caterpillar, United Health, Microsoft. These are the big guns that they use. Since inception, 9.08% total return. 10 years, 14.25% average. 11.46 5 years and 13.58 1 year. Another very sound, reliable fund to help grow. And now we go to DGRO, the iShares Core Dividend Growth. Now this is a balanced core of dividend growth and tax efficiency again. Now this one here has an 8.6% dividend growth over the past 10 years with 1.96% yield, but the expense ratio extremely low. This one I told you before is into financials, about 20%, with a 43% overlap of the S&P 500. Since inception, 12.35%, 10 years. Think of this, 10 years getting 14.40% average. 12.35% over 5 years, and last year alone, 18.45%. And I'm just going to say, in good times and some bad times, we just went through 4 years of some tough times of doing different things. And these things are still cranking out double digit, 12, 12.35, and over 18 over the last year. And our final fund, VYM, the Vanguard High Dividend Yield. I can keep repeating numbers, but look at this one, $72 billion in assets, 5% growth of the dividend, 2.25% yield, 1 year, 19.95% total return, 13 over 5 years, 12 over 10 years, and 9.32 since inception. So here's what my example, why I give you those total returns and how this would work in a portfolio. I show you the allocation. Normal allocation is that in your growth fund, which is probably only 10% of your actual fund, okay? So I normally use a 70-30 program. 70% into income, 10% into growth, and 10% into foundation or stability. So you would take that 10% and then break it down with 50% Charles Schwab, 30% VOO, 10% DGRW, and 10% in the DIA. And so why I do that is we have the blue chips, we have the S&P 500, we have the high quality dividends in Charles Schwab, and then we clear it out with the DGRW. Now, if we were to take the starting balance of $100,000 put into this fund, look at what you're getting. In basically 3 years, your fund would almost be to $150,000 in growth. Okay? That's averaging about $16,000 a year. Now, of course, it's going to snowball. You're going to start off about 14,000, then go to a little higher and get up to that 16,000. Now, you'll sit there and say, why do I need my money in this fund? Well, if you have particular funds and income that are, maybe lost some, had a bad year and you lost some, this is your backup. This is your fund that you can take and rebalance your extra funds and put it into your income strategy. So you're going to have your fund, you're living off of it, but you just had inflation kick in. You may have increased costs of things that go up. If you don't own your home, your taxes probably went up. So this whole thing is all about having additional money to continue putting into your income fund by growing your portion of your growth fund. So like I said earlier, you're putting your money to work. Your foundation money, when that bucket gets full, it pours into the growth bucket. When your growth bucket gets full, like we're showing here, those extra funds can go into your income fund, and that can create and continue your income from either getting bigger or maintaining your income so that you can live a happy retirement across the board. So if you're not familiar with how our 3-bucket system works, I highly recommend you check out the video that we'll have linked down below, because this is how you build what we call the smart asset way of building a happy retirement, is by having your 3 different buckets that you put your money into. 70% into income to live off of, 10% into 20% into the growth, and 10% into foundation. So let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think of this system? What do you think of these 6 funds? Are these funds that you have currently, or are you looking for growth to help grow your growth bucket? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what we're doing, hit that like button. That helps the channel the most. Hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, you know what to do. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button and not miss one of our single videos.
Thank you for watching. Press the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join. Leave any comments